Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and that channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I have a nice pen that I'm going to be reviewing with you in just a few minutes. You know, once in a while we stumble on a pen that excites you. This pen, right from the get-go, excited me to the point where I pulled the trigger so quickly that I got sort of scammed by one of the AliExpress vendors, but we made that up, we corrected the situation, and I got the real thing. And you know what? I was thinking about it. This could very well be my first Chinese grail pen. We shall see. Is it that grail pen, or does it come short? We'll be reviewing it. Fountain Pen Therapy presents the MAJOHN Ti Titanium P141. We'll be right back. So we're back. Yeah, something about the name. Some people refer to it as TI, standing for Titanium 141. Others will call it the P141 Titanium. Others will refer to it as the TI P141. Essentially, it's MAJOHN's P141, but in titanium. Very similar to the, I would say, the P136 in titanium, or the TI 136 in titanium, but with a small difference. Let me show you what are your options are. So I'll cut to my computer right away. You could see that based on AliExpress website, you can either get it in this hammered version, which is the version I chose, or you can get it in this brushed silver. The difference, apart from the whole the design and the feel and the material, the brushed silver has that nice, ink window with a little bit of a blue acrylic, transparent acrylic, whereas the hammered version has no ink window. I chose the brush version just because I didn't have a brushed version for the TI 136. I have the brush silver. So just to play it, a little bit different, I said, why not? The brush silver goes for 160.68 Canadian, and the hammered version goes for 299. A little expensive, you might say. I agree, especially for a Chinese pen, but it's hammered titanium, or hammered titanium alloy. So, and as to the nibs, for the time being, it's a number 8 sized fine nib. It only comes in fine. I'm not sure whether or not that nib, and we'll take a look at it in a second, which is the standard Moonman number 8 nib, will come in other sizes. I know that the Moonman Steel number 6 does. It comes in, I think, extra fine, medium, and 1.1, and maybe the same will apply eventually to this number 8 nib. We shall see. We shall see. But it is not the sun nib. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the pen. Here it is. Comes in the standard MAJOHN box. Nothing special there. There is the pen. There is a little manual that tells you how to fill pens, which is also very useful, always very useful. It is in English and in Chinese, so that's okay. And here's the pen. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous pen. I've got to tell you, I am so excited. First of all, I don't know what the camera is going to pick up, but it is very difficult to video and photograph this pen is because of the light that reflects on that hammered body. Very, very nice. From what I understand, it's got a brass clip, but it's got kind of a, gold color, gold plated trimmings. Very nice. And we'll take a look at that. Just in terms of the feel, everything is well integrated. The clip is well integrated here. There's a little bit of just there, I noticed, right there. But mostly because of the fact that this body is hammered. The same thing goes with, the circumference. Because it is hammered, and may hammered a little more here than it is here, that, that opening there may not be obviously consistent, but it's just because of the hammered body there. There is a little bit of rough edges there, nothing out of the ordinary, but nothing that would, prevent me from buying this or seeing it as a defect. I really don't. It's minor. The piston knob, because it is a piston filler, is well integrated. What I like about this is they've added, now you might say it's not much, but they still had to add that kind of gold dot there in the top finial, and I thought it's a nice touch. It's just an extra detail that makes this pen, exciting for me. The clip is springy, functional. I really like the center band. The way it's inspired by the Mont Blanc 149. The writing there you could see is MAJOHN with a nice writing. I got to tell you, China, MAJOHN, China. So there it is. I think you can see it. I really like the way MAJOHN appears, a little bit like the Mont Blanc on the 149. It's just a gorgeous pen. I think it's a statement. It's a piece of art. It really is. And I think it's worth every penny of that $200. I really do. I just hope the nib won't disappoint. If it's anything like the P141 nib that I have on 2 of my pens, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I'm just hoping that out of the box, it's what I hope it will be. In terms of the hammered finish, it's just perfect. Really, really nice. Very, very nice. Let's see how many turns to open that up. That's 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2. So it's 2. To reveal, there it is. That's the number 8. You can see it fine. Moonman nib. Whoop, my camera's not cooperating. I'm trying to put in the right light so you could see it. It's very similar to the number 6 nib, except it's a number 8 nib. It's in there with a notched housing. So normally you will need a tool. I kind of twisted these nibs open by force, but I think the right way to do it is to use that notch. Now, I have a MAJOHN. That's one thing. They don't come with the tool. I have this MAJOHN tool, but unfortunately it does not fit here, the small one, and the big one is a bit too big. So what I've used is this Dieman. It's not perfect, but it does the job. It does the job. So if you want to remove that nib, you can with this Dieman tool, which is something I think MAJOHN should have provided to us, but they didn't. What else? The feed is that cheap plastic feed. And that's where I think it's a shame that they did not go with the P140 instead of the P141. With the sun nib and with the ebonite feed, but they chose the 141, which is unfortunate. And here is the piston, smooth. Now, I've seen another reviewer, so I'm not going to do it because I was curious to see whether or not the interior piston rod was the brass one that we find in the P140. It is not. It's the rod that we find in the P141. Again, unfortunately, and that's where Grail pen, it comes a little short. I think had it been the twin of the P140, it would have come really, really close, in my view. The threads there are very, very smooth. I can hardly feel this transition here. It's got just a little bit of a flare there, which is nice. Nice and big, comfortable. It is a heavy pen, but it just kind of sits there, you know. Does it post? Yes, it does, but it's a slippery kind of a post because it's metal. I don't see the purpose of posting this pen. It becomes very, very back-weighted, and it's not a very secure post, and you're kind of pushing it and scratching it, and my opinion, it should not be posted. Should not be posted. It becomes ridiculously long and too heavy, too back-weighted. I mean, it's a titanium pen. It's got a piston already. It's too heavy to post, in my view. Let's take a look at the interior. It's titanium on titanium, and what I've noticed is that right there, you hear that? There's a little bit of a scratch there. It starts out nice, but because it's titanium on titanium, you could hear it. It's not the best threading, let's say, but at least it's titanium on titanium. And in there, let's just see. Well, I see the screw for the top finial right at the bottom. There is a plastic kind of an insert there, I believe. Is it plastic? Hold on. Yeah, with a little bit of a ledge, which, just a little bit of a ledge there. And then the rest, I think, is made out of titanium because I can actually see the rainbow. But we'll see how it holds up. Most of these MAJOHN P140s and 141 have held up really nicely in terms of drying. Had no drying issues with any of them. And I suspect that this will be the same. Folks, it's a beautiful pen. So far, so good. So far, so good. Is there anything else we should be looking at from the outside? No. So far, I'm very, very happy. So next thing, why don't we do a comparison? Be right back. Okay, so we're back. I'm comparing it. What I've chosen is, the first one is the P140, the MAJOHN P140. The next one you see here is the Asvine V800. Piston filler, vacuum filler. This is one of my P140s. This is the Mont Blanc 149, the real thing, as they say. And here is my Yunlai or Winsung 630, and here you have the subject pen. So it's just as big as the 149. You can see here, and the differences is probably because they're not lined up properly. The P141 it's about the same size as the P140, I should say. It's a little shorter than the Asvine. I think the Asvine is probably the longest one. So that's a comparison with the pens capped. I thought I add to the comparison. I wanted to show you what difference there is between the P136 or the Ti-136 and the 140. You can tell there is a significant difference, okay, both in girth, but not a great difference in terms of length, which is surprising. Here's my Lemon M8. I think probably the same length. Let me just push it here. Yeah, approximately the same length, but again, the girth is very different. And here is my J16 Asvine. So you can see the J16 is a little bit longer, but it's not as girthy as the titanium P140. So we'll be right back. We're back with the pens uncapped. Now there's one anomaly here, and I'll point it out in a second, but as you could see, the subject pen is probably the same length as the original 149, certainly the same length as this P140, you know, just not acrylic, but you will notice that the P140 has a sun nib, which is an option. You can still buy the P140 with the sun nib, but it will come with the plastic feed. So even if we can probably swap this sun nib into my new titanium one, it will still have the plastic feed because it won't fit. I've tried it. Of course, here is my Asvine V800, and you'll see that it sports a MAJOHN because I swapped the MAJOHN here, and this is my MAJOHN P140, and it's got an Asvine nib. But other than that swapping, you can see in terms of size, it's equivalent. They're pretty much equivalent. I think the longest one really ends up being this V800, the Asvine V800. Okay, so there you have it. I'm not going to do a comparison posted because I don't think this pen needs to or should be posted. There you go. Be right back with some measurements and then the writing sample. We're back. I was tempted. I wanted to just show you. I guess it's the threesome here now, right? We've got the titanium Ti-136 or P136. This is, keep forgetting, I think it's 137. Does it say? I believe it's the 137. I'll correct it if I'm wrong on screen. And then, of course, the subject pen. It's a nice collection, folks. Really nice collection. If you can afford it, I recommend it. Nice pieces to own. So let's get to the writing sample. Now, in terms of the notebook or the paper, it's Tomoe River paper from Galen Leather. I suspected this is probably the Sanson. I was under the impression that this was an older notebook with the original, but based on the way I've written on it lately, it's a little bit different from the original. I think it's probably Sanson, but that's okay. It's Tomoe River. It's still my favorite. We're going to have to get used to it. Eventually, my supply will run out. In terms of the ink, I had 2 inks that I was thinking about putting in here, and maybe even 3, and I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but I think it's either going to be this MAJOHN kind of a tealish blue, but I may very well go with this other blue one here, right there, just because, you know me these days, I'm going nuts with blue. So there you have it. We're going to ink that pen, and we'll be right back. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to go with that teal or teal green, just because I noticed the bottle is full, so I haven't been using it. So let's get with it. Let's see what this does. MAJOHN, I'm going to call it the Ti-140. and it's in the hammered version. Now the nib is a number 8 steel Moonman fine, and the ink is MAJOHN. I'm going to call it MAJOHN Green. I know there's a name for it, but right now I don't have it readily available. The paper is Tomoe River Sanson. Now, I could tell you right now that I'm very disappointed. I don't know if it's a combination of that ink on this paper, which is just doesn't excite me right now. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the nib. It is a little springy. You can see that, okay? But it's just not... I don't like the flow. There's a little bit of a scratch right there. It's not perfect right there. Right there. And it could be how I hold my pen as well. But it is not perfect. Now, there's quite a bit of ink coming out. But for some reason, I just don't like the writing experience. Now, I'm not sure if it's the ink or the paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change paper. I'm going to take out my original Tomoe River paper, which never fails. I want to see if I can feel a difference. So this is the well, you can definitely see, because I've got a feeling that that Galen leather Sanson paper is probably that bad batch of that from, you know, that was it last year? I think it was last year. It is much better on this one. That I can tell you. There's a little more flow, and the paper absorbs more, you know, so the writing experience is much better. I mean, I have to really push it to get the ink out. You know what I'm saying? There, look at this. You see here? It's a fine nib. Probably not any better, not any worse than what comes out of my P140, I got to tell you. My P141, I should say, the acrylic one. So the nib is a little scratchy. I don't want to be unfair to it. It's an uncomfortable feedback. It's not sticky, but I think there's just one place in that nib that's giving me, you know, the wrong sensation. And I can see that maybe the tines are not well perfectly aligned there. This pen, I think with a little bit of tuning and just opening it up just a tiny little bit, can probably do the trick, at least for me. And you know what? Some of you, because it's in between feedback and scratchy, but it's just doesn't feel right. So that's a personal taste. The only fine nibs that I like are the ones that are just beautifully tuned and constant and smooth, okay? And this one, right there is scratchy. So it needs some work. There you have it. Give me a few seconds and I'll be right back and I'll see what I can do. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if I makes a difference. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. I didn't even open up the tines, and the flow is better, and that scratchiness right here is gone. Now it's just a fine nib giving me nice feedback. So there you have it. Now reverse writing. Yeah, keeping up nicely. I kind of feel that bad feedback again, but it's reverse. And personally, I don't think nibs need to be written on their reverse side, but that's just a personal editorial. Likes and dislikes. And does it live up to my grail expectations? First of all, I love the titanium finish. I love the hammered version. I think it's well done. I love the design, but it's really the build quality that I like, because the design has been copied. Let's face it. Quality is just very, very good. Okay, I like the gold trimmings on this. Okay, what I dislike: no ink window. No posting. It's a big, heavy pen. Pens like that, just by their very nature, can't be posted. But some of you might say, no posting may be a downside. The nib has shortcomings. I just don't know, for the love of me, why they did not make a titanium P141. Now, are they going to take us for a ride and come out with another pen? They've got us buying this one. And once they've gotten some sales, then they'll come out with the P141, 140, sorry. Guys, I get mixed up between the two. It's driving me crazy. Why did they not come out with the titanium P140? And chose the 141 instead? Is it cost cutting? Is it because they're going to eventually come out with the P140 in titanium? Why not? They've done it in acrylic. So I'm wondering, I guess the P141 is the one that resembles the most the the look of the acrylic one in terms of, but even then, look, it has, oh, it doesn't. I should have picked this up. This has got a double parallel band and the center band. This one's only got the center band with a top one. So they have not even reproduced fully the P141. So it's really a mystery. And then, of course, the P140 has a completely different band, as you can see there. So I think what they should have done is made sure that this pen, which is grail-like in my view, sported that beautiful sun nib. But you know what? I may very well buy myself a medium sun nib and put it in this pen and use the same feed. Or I'll take the one that I have in the P141 just to give me more satisfaction. So the nib has shortcomings. Price. $200. Some people might see it as a dislike. I see it as worth every penny. So, you can have, varying opinions on that. Is it a go-to pen? By the way, I really like the work I've done on this nib. Go-to pen, I would say it's a little flashy. So I would say 7 on 10 for a go-to pen. In terms of, weight and all the rest of it, I'm not sure, how appropriate that would be for my profession anyway, unless I want to impress somebody. And it is kind of a heavy pen. And I don't have ink window to measure the ink, although it's never stopped me before, but some people may not like it. So there you have it. I try to cover all bases here. I still like it. Do I recommend it? Yes. Is it my first Chinese grail pen? No. Because of these shortcomings. If it's going to be a grail, it's got to be a grail. And it all starts with that nib. Had they done things properly, they would have put a ink window in this pen and they would have put the right nib. They chose not to. So it's not a grail pen in my view. So there you have it. That's my review. Hope you enjoyed that. It's still a great pen, folks. I'd be lying to you if I would say to you I don't recommend it. There's a big difference between recommending a pen that's a lot of fun and I think is worth every penny and calling it a grail. A Chinese grail. Keep in mind, it's a Chinese grail. Because to me, this is probably the pen that has the most substance from my Chinese pen collection. It is grail-like. You could argue that some of the Dieman dynasty pen might be kind of a grailish looking pen, a little over the top, but it's got a lot to it than just acrylic or some resin or some clear acrylic. It becomes a nice pen, but not a grail pen. But this hammered finish, yes, it is a Mont Blanc inspiration, but you've got something in your hands and you've got something that you can write with and feel, and it's grail-like, but not quite there. There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Please stay tuned to my next video. We've got a lot of pens have come in. I've got a lot of mechanical pencils coming in, so we're going to introduce that in the channel. I made up my mind. I think I've educated myself enough, and so stay tuned for those. And then, of course, you've got my weekly recap, and I've got all kinds of interesting blog-like videos coming out. So, looking at different collections that I have, so you'll enjoy those as well. Please subscribe and enjoy your pens. Ciao.